This is if I got an article written like this, people would understandably say I paid for it. Like these are paid actors. So I'm glad that it's coming from the establishment newspaper, the New York Times. Basically, most of the things that you are feeling, these people are also feeling. It's very common. This is a very common feeling. This is why I always say you're not alone. There are a lot of these people. If you talk to your liberal, centrist, lifelong Democrat voter parents and people in your life, you will realize they want more from the Democrats. They want the Democrats to actually fight. Hakeem Jeffries asked point blank about Bernie Sanders endorsing progressive challengers to House races. He's going to have a bad argument here as well. Now, of course, before we get to that, I do want to talk about a complimentary piece to this conversation that is taking place right now. The New York Times went and asked a bunch of Democratic Party voters, lifelong Democratic Party voters, people who voted for the Democrats in the past, how they feel about the current state of affairs in the Democratic Party. And I think it's very interesting because there are a lot more people in the base.
Do you have one last question?
There are a lot more people in the base of the Democratic Party who have opinions. Breaking Tucker detained in Israel. I'm gonna fly out to Israel right now so they can detain me and then hopefully kill me in prison, in an Israeli prison. Oh my God, chatters. I know. Okay? I know. You want to know why I know? Because I of course, this is a huge story. It's literally in the look. Read the pinned statement. We are aware Tucker Carlson has been detained. We are aware of the situation in Israel and Iran. Please stop. You're not breaking anything. You're just breaking my will to live. The only thing you are breaking is my will to survive. Okay? Did you know? Did you? I did. Anyway, as I was saying, the complimentary piece to this is the New York Times piece that I would like to get to. Does anyone have the link for that? Maybe you can send me a link that I actually want to see for once. Okay? That could be nice. Dude, I know about the ICE thing. We watched it yesterday with Wajahat Ali and Hakeem Jeffries. Yes. You need a list on screen? No, I don't. You want to know why? Because nobody reads anything. Okay? Nobody reads anything. The people that come in to spam whatever is happening come in with good intentions, but unfortunately they are illiterate, okay? So it doesn't matter. Thank you for the link, guys. But the reality is I've tried all of these different methods. I've tried all these different methods to be like, how do we do this? How do we get people to be understanding of like what I've covered thus far, what I will eventually cover, and people just come in and they're like, I don't know how to read, dude. I don't even know how to type shit. I don't even know how I'm illiterate. I don't even know how I actually sent you this breaking news. Tucker Carlson has been detained shit. Anyway, so we're gonna get to the New York Times piece. What word would you use to describe the Democratic Party? Okay, this is an interactive piece from the New York Times. And virtually every single person from every age group that they asked this question to said the same shit. Michael, 56, book dealer, paralyzed. Terrell, 68, retired, sold out. Afraid. Denise, 57, account manager. This is an opinion editorial piece called America in Focus. And the main takeaway was, show up for us. 13 Democratic voters on Trump, ICE, and their frustrations with the Democratic Party. Donald Trump's second presidency has remade American life in just a year. Many Democrats and others worry about the erosion of civil rights, cuts to social safety net, and the significant aggressive increase in deportations across the country. Amid major debates among activists, pundits, and elected officials about what direction the party should take, Times Opinion assembled 13 Democratic and Democratic-leaning voters to ask how the party is handling the moment, what changes and reprioritizations they want to see, and what kind of Democrats are standing out. Participants in our group weren't unclear about what the party stands for, the greater good and the protection of civil rights, but many also expressed dissatisfaction with a lack of resolve this past year during shutdown fights as well as more broadly. Again, every single pressure point that I have yelled at the Democrats over, these guys also feel the same way. And these guys aren't Hasanabi heads. This is the New York Times, people. This is the establishment newspaper. It's not like we're not reading Jacobin, okay? We're reading the New York Times. I need you to understand. Yeah, they're too young to be Hasanabi heads. Even recognizing that there isn't much Democrats can do out of power, people wanted more action and more aggression, especially if and when the Democrats take power again. You will hear the same exact sentiment that we express in here every single day being expressed by people who are nowhere near the demographics of being in this community. They're not card-carrying Democratic Socialists of America party members. But they share the same enmity and the same anger that we all do, okay? In particular, they wanted candidates who were young, progressive, and from a more modest or working class background with clear and simple messages. And as far as the Democrats who are standing out to these people, Jasmine Crockett, Pete Buttigieg, Zohran Mamdani, Gavin Newsom, many of them are the ones who've made a point in appearing in combative media environments, invoking a famous Michelle Obama quote, "After the past few years, these voters no longer want a party that goes high." Okay? So these are the participants. There's like two 36-year-olds in there. Okay? One 29-year-old in there, Arizona, Asian, independent, computer science. 33, Mike is from North Carolina, white, Democrat, telecoms. Okay? There's a 33-year-old black Democrat voter, career coach from Michigan. But here is the first question that they ask. Fill in the blank for me. I'm feeling bleep about the way things are going in the country these days. Okay? Confused about the direction the country's going. Frustrated, upset and concerned, discouraged, strongly concerned, terrified and angry, disappointed, pessimistic. I was going to say frustrated, horrified, tired and sad and upset. Now, this makes sense. When the Republicans are in charge, of course, Democrats are going to say this kind of stuff. Anybody have a positive word? No, I don't. No, absolutely not. These are tough words, Candy. Let me start with you. You said frustrated. Tell me why. I know people who are immigrants. So just what's going on with immigration and even being myself a U.S. citizen, I'm concerned about getting pulled over and shot and killed, or one of my family members is going to get discriminated against. I'm scared to leave my home. I already work at home. Now I feel like I have to stay here because I'm so scared. People feel paralyzed because of the ICE activities that are taking place all around the country, right? Have any other people have had an experience like Candy's? My family's all immigrants. We're all citizens, but I worry about my parents going out. They learned English later in their lives. I've heard that ICE is near where we live. I'm wondering if I have to have them carry their passports around when they need to go get groceries and things like that. Lauren from Iowa says, I have family members who are immigrants. That concerns me that even though they're citizens, they could be out doing normal day-to-day things, especially with the kids in tow, and just be yanked off the street, and we wouldn't be able to intervene in any way. Yeah, I just feel we're at the point now that we're being treated like animals. I'm Puerto Rican. I speak full Spanish, so sometimes I'm scared to go out and speak my native language. My mother, I'm afraid for her because she's older. They might just judge her by the way she looks, so I'm very, very frustrated. Moderator says, I want to hear from some other folks, like what was on your mind when you said all the words that people said, discouraged, frustrated, terrified, etc. People who are maybe not immigrants, but minorities and things like that are just being targeted. There's a lot in my community about ICE coming and pulling over people, and it's disheartening, actually. Christian, you said discouraged. One, a lot of the economic policies that have been put in place, looking at the job market, looking at the numbers that just came out today, worst number in years, it feels just economically, there's no real light at the end of the tunnel. The immigration policies are also a disaster, and they're inhumane. Socially, some people have just embraced being blatantly racist, whether it's towards immigrants, whether it's towards African Americans. It's been normalized, not to say it ever, not to say it ever fully went away, but we've just regressed. Katie says, I wake up in the morning and I look at my phone and it's another headline. I saw something on Facebook the other day that was from The Onion, and I had to double check to make sure that that was where it came from, because in reality that we're living right now, it's hard to tell the difference between real life and satire, which is not a good place to be in. I would say that I've been discouraged since 2016, Trump's first term. Nothing has changed since then. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. Now people are being shot in the street, and it's like, well, how far is it going to go now? It's just not right. Until about 10 years ago, I used to think that things would be a little better every year or over time. Now it just seems, for the most part, the government is putting into place policies that are meant to take advantage of people who need the most help and to benefit the people who are well off. How do you get ahead when this is the situation? How do you, Kaya? How do you get ahead when this is the situation, huh? How? Oh, you like being noticed. Is that what it is? That's what it is. Look at her tail. Look at her little tail wag. You just like being noticed. This is how we get ahead. Hello. Hello. Do we still fully don't know what's happening in the concentration camps and they're literally destroying cameras and videos on hard drives? I know. She wants the soundboard. Here, look at this. Kaya, place. I now officially have a place button. Who's your little lady? Okay, come here. Come here. Little butt scratches. Hello. 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 He can't keep getting away with it? Yeah, finally I do. Now I officially have a button where I electrocute Kaya. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Would have been a good edgelord. Anyway, I feel the same way. I feel sorry for the people that are going through this in their lives. I know because I'm fair, it's not just right that we rule by the. So everybody agree characterization. The question is, America's best days behind us, ahead of us, or happening now? Everybody said, wait, is it effing again? Oh, I didn't even realize that it was effing. I'm being throttled again. Kaya's revenge. Okay, you got to get out of there, though. Come on. Back up, lady. ISP hates the soundboard, too. Yeah, your voice gets wobbly and laggy, but we never drop or anything. Okay, good. You can't stand there, lady. You can't stand there, because unfortunately, I don't want to drive over you. You use too much power on the place button? Yeah, to electrocute it with the Tesla coils. It fried my electricity grid. They all say it's behind us. None of them says America's best days are ahead of us. Once he's out of office, what's going to happen on some of the things that people have been bringing up tonight? Immigration, economic policy, women's rights, gay rights. I say it entirely depends on what the party has power, on what party has power and who gets elected. I don't know if we're going to be living in a pendulum situation for years and years and years after this, where one party does these things and the next party tries to undo it, and on and on. My concern is that the things that the Republicans are doing now, they're going to be hard to undo. Yeah, it depends on who comes into power next, I guess. But if they don't wield it as brazenly as he's wielding it to undo some of the things that he's doing without asking the voters what we want to do or asking anybody besides just whatever he wants to do, the Democrats are too afraid to do anything, I feel like. So if they come into power, they've got to do something. Okay? Michael from Pennsylvania is now out. Michael from North Carolina is now in, for the record. It's over. We have a new Michael now. And you will see more and more of Michael from North Carolina cooking in ways that Michael from Pennsylvania never could. Like, if we're being real. RIP to Michael from Pennsylvania. Long live the new Michael. Michael 2, Revenge of the Michaels. Yeah. Shots fired? Yeah, shots fired. Okay. How often do you feel like you're thinking about politics and thinking about Donald Trump? I mean, the Donald Trump and talking about politics, I'm skipping. Do you talk to somebody about politics at least once a day? All day for me because of Instagram. Every day, Instagram, TikTok. I used to be pretty apolitical. I wasn't really interested in as much. And then 2024 came around. I just found myself super interested, and I'm following state reps and senators and things that I was never really into much before. I keep up with it every day, but don't necessarily talk about it every day. For the most part, everyone in my life I know is reading the same stuff I am. No point in preaching to the choir. How do you feel Trump's second term compares to his first? Worse, definitely worse. When you imagine a potential second term, it's worse than I expected. I didn't think it would be this bad because I thought there'd be checks and balances like we were always told. Like, basically, most of the things that you are feeling, these people are also feeling. It's very common. This is a very common feeling. This is why I always say, you're not alone. And I have experienced this in the real world, where I go to these events, I go to these protests, I go to these marches, I go to like places where liberals congregate, right? And not even just liberals, but like independents, older people in general. And they have the same exact animosity, both towards the way that the Republicans are handling the situation, hatred towards Donald Trump, but then anger and resentment towards the Democrats as well. Okay? This is important to understand. It's important to understand because you're not alone in this anger. And yet there is an entire media ecosystem dedicated to telling you, no, things are great. The Democrats are actually going to win by small margins, and then they're going to do business as usual politics, and you're going to like it. We're going to move and pivot towards moderation again and again and again. If you pivot towards moderation at a time when Republicans are going far right, then all you have is a center right to far right existence. We cannot do that. We must do away with this mentality. Okay? And trust me, the average liberal sentiment is closer to yours than you ever could have imagined. In 2016, resistance liberalism took hold, it took root, and therefore by 2020, Bernie Sanders' movement and momentum was quickly packed up. By the time the primaries were in effect, a lot of the establishment liberals, establishment Democrats were like leaning into the Bernie-crat message, some of those policies, but they didn't actually have any investment in it whatsoever. And Obama came in and he cleared the field for Joe Biden, and we all know the rest is history, right? So there are a lot of these people that if you talk to your liberal, centrist, lifelong Democrat voter parents and people in your life, you will realize that many of them, even if they say like they like Gavin Newsom or whatever, they are demanding more from the Democrats. They want more from the Democrats. They want the Democrats to actually fight. Some of them think, okay, well, Gavin Newsom is putting on a fight. Jasmine Crockett is putting on a fight because they're aesthetically presenting themselves as putting on a fight. Okay? But many of them want more in terms of policy. It is upon us to explain to them that it's not just about the aesthetics of putting on a fight. It's not just about the style, but it's also about the substance. Putting on a substantive fight means having a more radical vision for change, being unafraid to push the Democrats in the appropriate direction to win elections. Okay? And this is, this was a very important takeaway. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Democratic Party. If you had to use one or two words to describe the Democratic Party, what would you pick? Spineless, more complacent than I thought they would be. Okay? Paralyzed, afraid, incompetent, I guess suffocated or given up. Our local government's trying to do a lot, but then in the House and the Senate, they're getting voted against the Republican majority. So, sold out. As a 68-year-old. A 68-year-old saying sold out. I just feel we were never being governed. We're being looted. The Democratic Party lines their pockets and they created this mess. I do like what Trump's doing in terms of the tariffs. They've been milking us for God knows when. Now, that last part is not so great. Okay? What other words would people use to describe the Democrats? Sellouts and suckers. Immobilized. Can I say no balls? No cojones. I will say that there are a large number of young Democrats that are really starting to climb the ranks in the party that are motivated. I'm hoping that that word starts to take over a little more. Like, this is like, I mean, this, I could have, this is, if I got an article written like this, people would understandably say I paid for it. Like, these are paid actors. So I'm glad that it's coming from the establishment newspaper, the New York fucking Times. Okay? I said, this tracks 100% with what I've seen on the streets, from the No Kings protest to the resistance against ICE. People are very mad at their party. Dems on here are oblivious to the anger. They're speaking into an echo chamber of consultants who tell them what they want to hear. Okay? And it's not just consultants. Matt Iglesias wrote this in October, admitting the groups is something he heard in Washington. Now he writes about the groups for his Washington audience. He doesn't realize he's building the echo chamber. This is a major problem. The Democratic Party's electeds want to hear from people that agree with them. And there are plenty of pliant consultants and analysts that will give them what they want to hear. Matt Iglesias is one of the worst versions of this. Okay? The DNC has bubbled themselves in to this weird echo chamber where they are constantly demanding a steady flow of policy papers and focus groups that tell them the people demand a moderate agenda. The people demand a moderate agenda. And it's crazy because that moderate agenda is seen as dog shit because it failed.
The leader of the Democrats in the House is saying something that is in complete contravention to an overwhelming majority of his own voter base, let alone the growing number of independents that are leaving this party for the very attitude that we're talking about with the Hasan thing, the entitlement, the entitlement to anti-democracy. Like sit with that for a second. You have Hakeem Jeffries there, who is getting pissy that Wajahat Ali is trying to press him on the fact that he's taking blood money from a genocidal right-wing group, when you have a poll from around 6 months ago at this point in Gallup that showed that it's like something like 4%, 5%, single digits of Democratic voters that support Israel's military action in Gaza. The overwhelming majority are opposed to it. The majority believe it's a genocide.
Yeah, exactly. We watched that Wajahat Ali debate between him and Hakeem Jeffries the other day. It's disastrous. It's disastrous. Cinemarxism is right. He says it's actually so frustrating how often so many conversations, even on the left, assume that the Democrats are even trying to represent voters' wishes. They don't represent voters. They represent the capitalists. The sooner we realize and build power for ourselves, the better. This is why it's important to actually establish outside pressure mechanisms, whether it be labor unions, community organizing, tenants unions. By the way, yeah, shouts out to the new initiative in Kansas City for tenants unions. Cinemarxism is reminding me of that. But it's true. It's true. The DSA is another component of this as well. I'm never going to disparage people that are trying to actively reshape the Democratic Party in a direction that is beneficial for the working class's interests. Okay, we got to do away with business as usual politics in the Democratic Party. We got to do away with establishment neoliberal politics in general. It is completely ridiculous. They are the reason. You should remind people that they are the reason why Kamala Harris lost. Okay, like Kamala Harris lost for this reason. They did it. They did everything right. Okay, they followed Matt Iglesias' agenda to a T. They followed David Shorism. They followed Jonathan Chait. All of these guys were writing think pieces on how wonderful the Democrats were operating, how great Kamala Harris was in their pivot to centrism. Now, of course, after the spectacular failure, they're trying to rewrite history to make it seem like they didn't pivot to the middle hard enough. They did. They did. They did everything right, and they still lost every single swing state. So clearly, that's not working. Okay? It's the often misattributed Einstein quote, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing a million times over and expecting different results. That's literally just the Democratic Party's politics. Doing it over and over again, pivoting to the center over and over again. pivoting to the center endlessly and expecting a victory. I work for Unite here, the labor union. I work in the back office, but we have periodical meetings about political strategy, and my union leadership right now are way, way, way more radicalized than what they were doing in 2024. My union president said moderate Democrats aren't enough, and we need even more power outside the Democratic Party. Good. Because major labor unions, let's be real, have also been sheepdogs for the establishment Democrats for the most part, and I'm glad that that's changing too. Good. It's a necessity. Like, no disrespect. I love the labor unions. I ride for the labor unions, but it's not a secret that the labor unions have also kind of been on the Democratic Party agenda, and they've lost the rank and file whipping power that they have for that reason. Now, not all unions are the same. I'm, of course, talking about like IBEW, the rank and filers that have moved in the rightward direction, voting for the Republican Party and voting for Trump in particular. Same with the Teamsters, where there's a lot of rank and filers that have also done that. Like, part of that reason is because the Democrats are not seen to be defending the rights of the working class, the labor unions in general, their interests. And I've thought a lot about this, okay? I have thought a lot about this. Now you speak of labor union correctly. No more authoritarian, Hassan, please. Wait, what? I don't know what you're saying. Anyway, I thought a lot about this. There was a MS Now contributor that actually spoke on this, where he was like, Joe Biden was one of the best Democrats for labor unions overall. He like walked the picket line, all true things. But why is it that the rank and filers are still hyper focusing on culture war narratives and operating under the assumption that the Democrats are no longer invested in defending labor unions and union power in general, or defending labor power in general? And that's because regular people obviously, understandably, measure the Democratic Party as one big institution. They measure the Democratic Party on the Democratic Party's weakest members. Because at the end of the day, the rotating villain structure that exists within the party and the lack of interest in whipping those people at the top of the party is what causes there to be a diluted and much weaker agenda for labor unions. If you don't get card check at the end of the day, for example, right, something that unions have demanded for a very long time, it doesn't matter if Joe Biden is walking the picket line. It's symbolically important. But at the end of the day, if you don't get card check, because there's plenty of spoilers within the Democratic Party's infrastructure, the Democratic Party's ecosystem, then all people see is you not getting these, important pieces of legislation across the finish line. From their perspective, you didn't do that for them, right? You didn't do that for them at all. So why the fuck should they think that you're pro-labor? It makes sense. They don't make the harm reduction argument internally. They never make the harm reduction argument. Most normal people do not think about harm reduction. This is something that I'm trying to get across, right? They want an agenda that you are championing to go across the finish line, okay? It's that simple. We got to do away with the rotating villains. We have to whip them. We have to punish them. We have to punish them if they step out of line. We have to have more organizational discipline within the structure of the Democratic Party, even for the modest social democratic gains. Okay? That's it. And a big component of doing away with that ecosystem is by addressing this false notion that the only way to have this big tent Democratic Party is by running establishment candidates, or by running candidates that actually adorn the moniker of progress and then do away with that progress when they're in power. The greatest example I can give you is Marie Concentration Camp Perez, a person that literally ran on like a Justice Democrat style campaign and then quickly became a part of the Problem Solvers Caucus, a self-declared group of individuals that play the role of spoilers from within the Democratic Party. Okay? John Fetterman is another great example of this. John Fetterman saying, well, I flipped the red area. Yeah, bitch, you flipped it by lying about being progressive. It's crazy. You prove that you don't actually have to look like you're compromised. You won with a progressive campaign, a straightforwardly progressive campaign, even when you had brain damage. Like, people literally were like, I will vote for a stroke victim as long as they are progressive enough. And for some, maybe it was because you looked the part of an ogre in Western Pennsylvania, and they were like, oh, he looks like me, he talks like me. I don't really care if he's actually, woke or whatever. But the reality of the matter is, you were woke when you ran. You were woke when you won. When you ran and when you won. It's that simple. Consider this analogy. You and your family share a car. A family friend asks to borrow the car. You say no. Your family gives him the keys anyway. He brings it back and the brakes were swapped. You say you should pay to fix the brakes. Some of your family members say, let it go. The friend takes the car again, T-bones the minivan, kills the family. Insurance makes you pay. Hashtag DNC. Dark. My rich liberal wine aunt who campaigned for Hillary in 2016 was wearing an Obama 2028 shirt at Christmas, texted me and asked to borrow my copy of the People's History of the United States and is posting Woody Guthrie Coates songs on her Facebook. The tide is shifting. Yes, it's happening all around us. I swear to God, it's not me on copium. The Democrats in charge are not responding to it, but the pressure is there. The momentum is there. The momentum is on our side because people have seen far too many losses at this point. It's getting there where people are like, okay, well, we did centrism over and over again. You sold us this notion, this false notion that centrism is going to actually bring us electoral victories, and it only brought us electoral defeat. I think the second loss to Donald Trump really worked to destroy the second defeat that the establishment Democrats had against Trump as well, when Trump was even more incompetent in the first round, made Democrat voters realize that the pivot to the center narratives are just simply a failure. And they're seeing it on their own, by the way. It's not like they're seeing it because they all magically became Hasanabi heads, right? They're not watching me. They might not even like me if they know who I am. Many of them don't. And yet they agree with what we have seen for years. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if there's one principle that motivates every single person, from the blue dog Democrats down to the Maoist third worldists who don't even want to vote, it is that they do not want to see Republican fascists in power. Okay? That is the one uniting principle that brings all of us together from all different walks of life, from different ethnic backgrounds, from different lived experiences, even people who are like small business tyrants, right? There are people who are responsible for the wages of others, who are a part of the ownership class in some meaningful capacity, who still go, I don't want a Republican in charge, man. It is too much instability. It's too much violence. I don't want to see it. That's it. Hasanabi heads, we need a better name. Yeah, parasocialists. That is the one uniting principle. We do not want Republicans elected, okay? That's part of the reason why a lot of these centrist neoliberals will consistently say that I want Republicans elected because it's gonna be a tremendous opportunity for me to farm subscriptions or some shit. Like they have to like find a way to be like, Hasan actually doesn't hate Republicans. We, on the other hand, who tell you every 4 years that we have to become more like the Republicans in order to defeat the Republicans, we actually truly hate the Republicans. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. My resentment for the Democrats come from their closeness to the Republicans, okay? It's bad politics and it's bad policy. I don't want Republicans in charge. I don't want Republicans to ever win another election ever again. Centrists do not care about that. It's ridiculous. But fear not. It seems like a lot of people are also on the same wavelength. Some of them might be misguided and think that, Gavin Newsom represents that change. And, we must do away with that notion. I think like when push comes to shove and when people actually realize that Gavin Newsom is a representative of that establishment wing of the party, they will move away from that. Okay. But but getting back to this article now, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Democratic Party. We already covered this. What other words? Sellouts. We already covered this. During the recruitment for this group, everyone identified in some way as being a Democrat or leaning towards Democrats. Tell me, what does the Democratic Party stand for? So I grew up in Pittsburgh, very blue collar town. My whole family was that way. But then even as I got old enough to make my own choices, I just identified more with the Democratic Party because I didn't feel very Republican. I grew up in a conservative household, not a liberal household. I've always felt like more than not that the Democrats supported policy programs that were for the greater good that would help move people up and forward. Whereas Republicans, more than not, just said, well, you're on your own. The Republicans, really just want to help the rich get richer. For me, it's always been more about the greater good and being accepting of everyone, no matter who you are. There's a big civil rights component. One analogy I've heard is that Democrats would rather 10 kids get free lunch than say, even if 9 don't need it, but then that one needs it, versus the Republicans will say, oh, well, there's 9 kids who are getting free lunch. They'd rather the one person starve. It's a pretty interesting way to put it. But yeah, people use words like spineless, weak, scared, afraid. What are they afraid of? It seems like to me they're scared to speak up. I've heard Democrats speak up when they're interviewing these senators on television about the killings in Minnesota. I mean, they are speaking their mind. They can talk the talk, but can they walk the walk? And I'm hoping that they will. The Democrats are really good at speaking when they want to, but they want to act like they care. But at the end of the day, for example, when they gave in to giving ICE money, they're suckers. They get suckered in really easily by the Republicans. The Republicans call them a couple of words, and the Democrats believe it. I feel like the Democratic Party always tries to take the high road and do it the right way. And the other side is going so scorched earth that it takes so much more to try to do it the right way. I'm not saying go low, but I mean, at some point, you got to meet them a little bit in the middle. You have to be a little bit more aggressive with your message. I don't know if that's complacency or some of these people, these people are so close to understanding that the Democrats represent controlled opposition party and that we must do away with those who actually actively undermine the interests of democracy. They're so close. Because remember, the starting point for a lot of people is liberalism. Liberal. That's just how it is. A lot of people start off as liberals. Many of you started off as liberals. Every single one of you, as a matter of fact, myself included. We had some kind of start point where we were liberals. And we moved away from that, slowly but surely, through observation, through observing reality, through recognizing that the Democrats actually do not present the change necessary. What have people seen from the Democratic Party over the last year since Trump has been in office? We saw Melissa Hortman and her husband get murdered in their home, and no Republican really batted an eye compared to the response that Charlie Kirk got. And you see, again, our own president is lying and spewing hate every day. If I were a Democrat, I would probably be pretty scared about the things that I said, too. I have a lot of respect for Jasmine Crockett and Pete Buttigieg. I love them. They are really standing firm. Oh, God. Bruh. Democrats have folded a little bit lately to move things along, unfortunately, not in the way that we would like, because they don't want to see all these people not getting paid in a shutdown and our country not moving forward. Not saying it's 100% right, but it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations because they are largely out of power. Bruh. Don't give them that. Don't give them that. Has anybody been following elections that have happened over the past year? Democrats have flipped seats that were Republican. I know Texas one just got flipped, and they have been by large margins. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the Republicans are about to rig the next election because that's what's happening right now. True. How do you square the negative feelings towards Democrats with the fact that they're winning these elections? I square it because I feel like they're always playing catch up. It's true. So yeah, they've won some seats. But people are upset about Trump, and so they're voting for Democrats. I still don't think they're going to take the House next year. They would have never considered redistricting until the Republicans did it. Not saying that they should have, but it's like, what else are Republicans going to do first? Oh, that's so perfect. what would you say are the Democratic Party's strengths? They got really good health policies. They're for the greater good, all this stuff. How would you then respond to what somebody else said? They're out of power. They don't have the White House or the Senate or Congress. So what are they supposed to do? It's definitely a good point. However, you don't just lie down and say, oh, well, sorry, we can't. Yes, we don't have it, but that doesn't mean that they can't fight for it. And it's scary with some of the retaliation and things that are happening, but they need to stand firm. See? When you say you want to see the Democrats stand up and fight, what does that look like? Just getting the message right. You hear the Republican side, they'll spew nonsense about everything. And I'm not saying spew nonsense, but they can't get a clear, cohesive message out there, and they don't all stand together on that message. So no one knows, hey, we're fighting for you for this. They just think, hey, you're just locking the whole government up because you're being stubborn. Then they lose steam, and then they lose their people behind them. They just go belly up on the government shutdown. Oh, my God. There it is. There it is. The whole blaming the Democrats thing was just a big Fox News story of let's blame the Democrats. But they had some real bargaining power there, and they just pushed in the chips and said, no, it's all right. I don't want to play this game anymore. It's like, no, if the Republicans are going to play this game, you got to play the game. We can't just sit around and not play. California's doing it the right way. They're like, okay, well, if you're going to take the seats from us, we're going to give ourselves more seats to counteract what you're doing. That's what we should be doing. This is the last thing I'm going to read from this article before I move on. Has anybody seen anything from the Democrats? Any candidate or public figure or someone locally that's made you say, oh, yeah, we need more of this. This is what we should be going for. Zoran Mamdani. Clear, concise messaging. It's exactly what everybody wants. It helps everybody. It's the perfect messaging because it's clear and concise, unlike Democrats. Just like Bernie. Bernie said the same things since the 80s. You've got to tax the billionaires. You've got to tax the upper class. He's never changed. That's the messaging. You've got to drill it into them. And Zoran did it. Man, it's beautiful. And then Diane comes in from the top rope, 72 years old, white, Democrat, retired, says, Mike said it pretty clearly, and I can't really think of anything to add to that. Then they ask who else. Is someone says Isaiah Martin. He doesn't hold back. He just went on Jubilee and went against like 20 conservatives. And to me, they got all embarrassed. He's asking them questions and then they get tongue twisted. They can't answer the question. Pete Buttigieg is a big one for me. Jasmine Crockett, she tells it like it is. I was going to say Mike said it pretty spot on. When people are saying what Mike said, do y'all mean you like Mamdani and Bernie? You like the idea of simple messaging or all of the above? Panth comes in and says, the Democratic Party needs to embrace voices that resonate with people. When you hear Bernie, he has energy because he really believes in what he's saying. It's the same reason Trump resonates with people, because he acknowledges some of the struggles that they're facing. Sure, he blames the wrong groups, but at least he voices it. This is literally, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm walking away. I'm walking away, dude. I'm done. There's nothing else I need to say. We're here.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
This is the New York Times. These are random Democratic Party voters. And it seems like Allah has awakened them. Not just to the evil doings of Israel and the United States, but specifically the evil doings of establishment Democrats. Okay? Straight up. The wind is on our sails. I have never felt this hopeful. I have never felt this excited about what we could potentially accomplish within the confines of permissibility, within the confines of at least one of the two major powers in this country, major political planks in this country. The Democrats are weak, and we are closer to seizing power than ever before. This doesn't mean that the Democratic Party is going to become a socialist party. Okay? I'm not saying that at all. I'm simply stating that in order to unlock class consciousness and in order to achieve the modicum of revolutionary potential that exists in the heart of Americans, the American working class in particular, we have an opportunity more than ever before to actually put forth a much bolder vision, an agenda that truly changes the dynamic of business as usual politics. And the way to do that runs through the Democratic Party, at least, is by putting socialists into office, and to show people that when socialists are in office, they actually make the necessary changes. Shut the fuck up. Democrats are not the working class party. What the fuck are you on about?
Bruh. 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 Bruh.
Is that what I said? Is that what I said? Did I say that? Did you mishear? Did you not hear the part where I said the exact opposite? Why is it that so many of you come in here and refuse to listen to the words that I am telling you? Okay, I was a bit trolling. Sorry. Okay, take an hour off. Take an hour off, chatter.
Holy Toledo.
Jesus Christ, dude. Jesus Christ. I had to
Blammo!
this chatter.
Blammo! Blammo!
Just joined in chat, already getting lectured. Yeah, well, sometimes you need it, okay? Sometimes you need it.
I'm gay and Lebanese.
I mean, come on. Come on, dude.
I'm gay and Lebanese.
Okay, that was crazy. What do you mean? Yeah, crazy good. I want old Hassan back, the one who talked about politics and nothing else and didn't use a soundboard. Yeah, well, we're moving on to it. This is a new direction, okay? This is a direction where...
Legalize comedy.
That's right. Comedy is legal now.
Legalize comedy.
Yeah! Yeah!
And pussy too.
All right. I'm loving the sound surprise. It feels like when you would pull a 10-10 top of the hour ad break. Yeah, that's right. We need a PBS one too. Soundboard haters are revisionist. I agree. Billionaires propped up 20 plus abundance groups. Liberal media figures embarrassed themselves, saying the party needed to moderate. It didn't work because people are smarter than the elites think, says Joe Road. And it's true. All these guys, basically all they did in the aftermath of this spectacular defeat that everyone experienced, that everyone was frustrated by, they turned around and said, actually, guys, we didn't go to the center hard enough. We didn't go to the right hard enough. Okay? And then they basically, the Democrats basically decided we shouldn't do anything. We should not even try to protest against the Republicans and their agenda, because we'll cause people to understand that the Republicans are bad, and we can just turn around and say, see, we're a much better option, and we can do business as usual politics all again and eke out a marginal victory. Well, it turns out people are still very frustrated. And they're not just frustrated at the Republicans, which they obviously understandably despise, but they're frustrated at the Democrats also not doing anything to stop the Republicans. Anyway, the Democratic Party doesn't do the same. In 2024, they were saying the economy is fine. For a lot of people, it was, but there were a lot of people who were seeing their prices go up and were struggling. And the stock market doing well didn't mean anything. I don't agree with everything Bernie says or everything Mamdani says, but they're similar to Trump in that if they come into office, I know they're going to do something. It might not be what you want, but you see action being taken, and the Democrats are not like that by and large. Oh, this guy's not even a Mamdani supporter. He's not even a Bernie-crat guy, and even he recognizes we need change. We need change. We need to move in the appropriate direction. None of this marginal business as usual politics, this day late, dollar short politics that we've seen from the Democratic Party. Is there anybody else you've seen, a Democratic candidate figure who excites you? I still don't agree with everything she's doing, but AOC is a well-known name and seems to be fighting against Trump. Nikki Sherrill just won governor. Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker, they're speaking out strongly against Trump. Even people who are not socialists or anything like that are just like, I kind of want this. I kind of want this because it's good. It's good. It's actually helpful. Like I want them to do things. I want them to do something, anything, please, for the love of Christ. Meanwhile, what are people doing on the other side? What are people doing on the establishment liberalism side? I'm going to do a quick, brief shout out.
Do you trust that he would not nuke Israel?
Let's bring back my favorite anti-Semite destroyer, okay? Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, who talks very famously about the enmity caused against Jews in Tsarist Russia. His speech is important to remember because it is prescient even now. It's something that I have brought forward many times over. All of this enmity is a simple distraction. It is. Anyway, there's a longer video on Twitter if you want to go and watch it, but it basically shows like my arguments against anti-Semitism over and over again, regardless of the fact that like establishment liberals, at least on the on this platform that we're on, spend a good deal of time talking about how devastating people like myself are, and unfortunately, they're not invested in any sort of serious change. What is this? This one? Yeah, I'm not going to play the whole clip. I've played it too many times. So, more proof that the normal libs are on your side with the stupid election discourse.
We're going to show you, which is why I have a question, which is a question I have directly for California Governor Gavin Newsom, which is if J.D. Vance is the vice president, if J.D. Vance is the presidential nominee in 2028, would Gavin Newsom vote for Hasan Piker? I want to know. I think inquiring minds want to know. Gavin Newsom, who next person? Ooh. Listen, the next time a right-wing pundit.
That's actually a really interesting question.
Then sits down.
Because I think Pearl Mania is not like the biggest fan of what I said there. But I like
Gavin
that question.
Newsom on Gavin Newsom's own podcast. They should ask Gavin Newsom, would you vote for Hasan Piker? I think that is the direction we need to take this, because it was just stupid. It's just been a stupid thing all weekend. It was a hypothetical question asked on a podcast that was then clipped and then spread around everywhere to enrage people. Like Hasan didn't clip it. I've Had It podcast didn't clip it. It was a third party of people who don't like either of them who clipped it to then go, oh, you to everybody else, to then make everybody get enraged at each other, so then everyone could have content to talk about, and then it gets thrown over into the streamerverse, and then all the streamers then clip it, and then they all have something to talk about. This way nobody has to talk about what's actually happening in the world, which is that we are being run by a cabal of elite pedophiles.
I agree with this 100%, by the way. Ginger Michael from Pennsylvania is correct. And the people that clipped it would vote for J.D. Vance over you. Yeah, that's the other side of this that is ironic. The people that clipped it and spread it far and wide aren't even real Democrats. Many of them don't even live here. They're all they're Euroids in general. And they just have a singular focus, Hassan derangement syndrome. Over and over again, they have demonstrated that they don't actually give a about what's going on in American elections. They just want to act out the desires of their sex pest cult leader, Destiny, right? They have literally said they would vote for Jeffrey Epstein over someone like myself. They've said that they would vote for Adolf Hitler or even Donald Trump over someone like myself. When you say stuff like that, you basically revealed that like you're not a serious contender. You're not serious about the moment that is ahead of us, right? All you care about is masquerading the personal animosity that your favorite cult leader has towards me, and masquerading that as like some kind of serious political disagreement. And that's precisely the reason why you see this kind of insanity over and over again. Remember, these are the people that were running around. These are the people that were running around having conversations about how I am worse than Adolf Hitler for America.
I think Hasan is worse than Jeffrey Epstein. That's what it shows you, Hutch. That's what it shows you.
What is Jeffrey Epstein?
You did when you said I would vote for Epstein over J.D. Vance.
Tell me, what is Jeffrey Epstein's policy platform?
Dude, you don't need...
That's a fair question, isn't it? Isn't that relevant to the analysis? I don't know anything about Jeffrey Epstein's politics. Would he push for a public option? Is he a Medicare for all kind of person? I don't know anything about his politics.
Yeah, you don't know anything about his politics other than the only thing Jeffrey Epstein is known for, which is being a pedophile, bro. Are you joking? Like, Jeffrey Epstein is known for one thing and one thing only: raping children. And this is like, yeah, that's good enough for me. And he also loves Israel. So I guess that those are the two things that you care about as far as who you're going to vote for.
I would not necessarily disqualify Jeffrey Epstein electorally. It's because first we would have to establish if he supports liberal democracy. Because the whole thing with Hasan is that he doesn't. And I had people in my own chat last night that thought I was being ridiculous. I don't, why am I being ridiculous when we're talking about Hasan Piker?
Dude, you are. Snap out of it. Snap the out of it, dumbass. The reason why even people that are in the edge communities that would normally agree with your sentiment are saying, dude, what the are you saying? Like, what we are watching right now unfold with evil Northern Lion and all these other like adjacent orbiters of sex pestiny is this moment where they are expressing how unserious they are about American politics. I have long maintained the position that for these guys, they make it seem as though they're giving you like a political take, but all they're basically doing is using political disagreements as a way to just say Hasan is bad, okay? Hasan derangement syndrome. And I don't think Hutch is ever going to snap out of it. I don't think Destiny is ever going to snap out of it. But like their audiences are finally coming to that recognition that it's like, dude, Donald Trump is kidnapping people and murdering American citizens that are trying to stop this kidnapping operation from taking place. And every single moment of the day for you is spent talking about how Hasan is awful. Hasan is bad. At least he's out in the streets. You ain't doing shit.
Do you trust that he would not nuke Israel? Do you trust that he would not help China invade Taiwan? I'm crazy for being worried about our nation's secrets. If we gave power to Hasan.
Hasan isn't an all-powerful God, even as president. Like, they're trying to walk him off this ledge, right? They're trying to walk him off this ledge. There's still plenty in his community going, I don't. He'd give that shit up for a shiny new shock collar.
Piker?
Like, again, it's all drama. Even when he's being a insane person, okay, there are still plenty of people that want to keep up this, like, no, you're doing the right thing method. Or they're trying to literally say, like, no, Hasan would be far more devastating. Okay, well, I have my candidates, you know. You can look at who I'm working with, right? Who I'm working within the Democratic Party and make that assessment for yourself. Are these guys bad or do you like them? Obviously, the one that we can directly point to is Zoran Kwame Mamdani, right? Do you like Zoran? Okay, well, I guess you don't have that big of a disagreement with me after all, right?
I'm the crazy one who's like, I don't know, what's Jeffrey Epstein's policy position when he glorifies the current Chinese Communist Party as like a model of government? I'm the crazy one, somebody who idolizes Vladimir Lenin, and I'm the crazy one because I don't want to live under an authoritarian leftist regime.
Yes. All of this, like Hasan would give state secrets to China and shit like that, is literally the exact same shit that like Steven Crowder and them would say. These guys don't realize that they have actively radicalized themselves into taking on positions that are identical to the biggest reactionaries out there. They don't realize it though, because this is what happens when you are singularly focused on expressing the enmity that your favorite sex pest has. Like, you're fighting his battles and you don't even realize it. Lenin is such an interesting sticking point for some reason. Yes, because these guys don't realize that they're completely trapped in this Western focus in politics where it's like Lenin, Karl Marx, these are terrifying people. They've killed quintillions of individuals. They've killed so many people. They're so ruthless. They're such tyrants. They don't understand. It's like they only have a very like America good approach to things. Yeah, Stalkman says he would vote for JD Vance over you.
For me personally, he would send me to the gulag, so I would vote for JD Vance.
Well, that's
over Hassan. For me personally,
hold on,
but
Dan
I
would be
understand
gone too. Wait, I'm starting to see Hassan's platform now. I'm starting to get it.
So for most people, it might be better to be under Hassan, but for me specifically, I can't. I'm not going to vote for my oppressor.
This is like peeking into the other side where there's just like an insane approach. Like they don't realize that I cover politics, and these guys just cover me covering politics in a negative framework. Hopefully, a lot more people are waking up to that reality, though. Ogre Boy says, Dumb McGee takes this opportunity to speak on doing politics to talk about any guesses. That's right, Hassan. Amazingly, seeing as how he watches more Hassan than I do, he even that assessment up. Shocking.
Destiny, is it necessarily bad to have political commentators that don't want to be engaged in actual politics? Yes, it is bad. Now, when I say actual politics, I don't mean they're running for office or they're like directly affiliated with a candidate. I mean, they're trying to get political power. Politics is about getting political power in your political system, right? Or influencing political power in your political system. So in a democracy, you want to be able to exert influence over lawmakers, over the president, over cabinet level officials, over executive agencies. Like this is like politics, is political power. And so somebody like Fuentes ideally would have a Groyper caucus in the House or the Senate. The House would be amazing for Nick. That would be like his ideal. For somebody like Hassan doesn't care about politics per se. He just like talks about it and then.
I thought it was dangerous for America's future because I do actually directly correspond with candidates and, push for them to be elected. He goes back and forth on this nonstop, it seems. Because, I thought the danger that I represented to America was that I command a tremendous amount of I command a tremendous amount of political influence. I wield it dangerously. Now he's saying I don't care about politics. I guess it's just about whatever in that immediate moment, whatever reactionary garbage you can just toss out there. The enemy is both strong and weak at the same time. Now, of course, that's a strange thing to say about someone, especially like myself. I have candidates that are running for Senate, Democrats running for Senate. I have candidates running for, the mayor's office, right? Zoran Mamdani was one of them. I have opinions about how local governance, state governance should be run, and I'm trying to push for people to do it, both from my community and also people that I use to get elected. Use my community to get elected, right? So, what has Destiny done? On the other hand, nothing. He just constantly is chirping about how I am a bad person. That's it. He spends basically every waking moment just saying, when he's not procuring CSAM or not in a legal battle with his victims and undermining his victims and victim blaming in general, all he does is just talk about how much I suck dick.
Makes money off of it. But he doesn't care to actually influence any of it or to try to get anybody elected. He doesn't want to wield any political power. He just kind of wants to talk about stuff all day. Now, in and of itself, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But the issue is that these things, to a lot of people, seem to overlap or they're hard to distinguish from one another. So then you end up in a world where people on the left look to Hassan as well, is this guy speaking for Democrats? And then people on the right can use Hassan as an attack vector.
The only thing that his community has done as far as projecting political power was to get Richie Torres to send a congressional letter to Amazon to get me deplatformed. The only large leftist, progressive, Democrat content creator, Democrat adjacent content creator to get banned 5 days out from the general election. That was it. They sicked the ADL on my ass. They constantly try to get me deplatformed because they're super pro-Israel for some weird reason. And right before the election, that was their big moment. Him and the other dipshit that I just showed you who said he would vote for JD Vance over me because he thinks I would put him in a gulag have worked with senators like Tom Cotton, as a matter of fact, to try to get me deplatformed. The only thing that these guys have done aside from revitalizing Nick Fuentes' career when he was deplatformed from every outlet possible, okay, and trying to other white nationalists on top of Nick Fuentes. The only thing that they've ever done is that. It's just pure spite. I hope people can wake up to the reality that this isn't real politics, okay? This is just pure spite being expressed as though it's a political disagreement, hyper-focusing on drama. Drama is much easier to pay attention to. Drama among streamers is much easier to pay attention to than the boring stuff, right? I'm in Hudge's community. He's been spiraling the last couple of months and conflating his personal vendettas with being in a political position. Some of us even bring Fred BLS data, and he'll refute it if it aligns with something you said. The vibes are not good over there at the moment. It's crazy. They think, and what's really crazy about it is, if they had the wherewithal to recognize where the political changes are happening within the base of the party, they would just shut the up about constantly attacking me, and they would instead be like, oh no, we were there all along. We want, AOCs to run. We want Zoran Mamdani's to run. Of course, we were there all along. They would just lie to their audiences. But they don't. They don't do it. They don't do that because they're stupid, and they're so personally invested in their own vendettas. Okay? Hud said you getting ratioed on Twitter was a win. Yeah, I know. It's going to be a real shock to all of these when the midterms come around, I think. Like, this is the only politics they have, which is to constantly tell their audience that I have no political motion whatsoever, which who cares? Who cares if I have political motion or not? Like, I'm irrelevant. If I'm irrelevant and I'm powerless, then why the do you talk about me all the time? You know what I mean?
But the annoying thing is that he's not playing the same game that conservatives or even center-left liberals are, because he doesn't care at the end of the day if any of his people get elected or if he's able to influence any policy or not. He just wants to talk about it. That's it. And the confusion of those two things are very detrimental, I think.
I just don't understand it. For someone who's obsessive with hating Hasan, he actually has no idea what Hasan stands for? Is he pretending? Instead of streaming literally almost every day, he could go spend time with his kid. Should only talk politics if your buddy's in power. Gives you power and money. New vibe detected. It's just strange. If they literally, here is free ball, okay? I know that these guys will never listen to what I have to say, but the free ball here for you, okay, free advice, is to shut the up about me and start talking about the issues themselves without tying it back to me somehow. Because the reality of the matter is, if you only talked about the issues, you would probably start developing an audience that cares about the issues again. Okay? Didn't this guy care about a municipal candidate getting elected? Said candidate turning his back on him after the allegations came out and ended up doing 2% or something? Yes. The difference between me and Destiny is that when Destiny actually put his hat in the ring in the electoral arena and tried to get a mayor elected in Nebraska, in I believe it was the Omaha mayoral race, right? His candidate had to disavow Destiny, and his candidate got 2% of the election anyway. Okay? And it's so sad that he has like genuinely tried to say like Zoran did the same thing. Zoran did the same thing. It's like, first of all, he disavowed the 9/11 statement. He didn't disavow me, as evidenced by the fact that, we're still I'm still working directly with the DSA to get his slate and his agenda accomplished here. And not only that, but he won. Didn't Midas Touch blow up like the #1 lib podcast? Pretty sure they don't spend hours a day talking about Hasan bad. The problem is this guy's mentally ill. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And the reason why Midas Touch, Midas Touch and the politics that they represent are different than mine. Okay. I am much more radical than they are. I am much, much more radical than they are, but it doesn't matter because they also understand that a big tent with candidates like AOC are what will make the Democratic Party viable. They love Zoran. They love AOC. They love Bernie Sanders. Okay? They don't shy away from propping up establishment Democrats as well, but they don't spend every waking moment and make their political expressions simply Hasan bad, Hasan bad, Hasan bad, because they also understand. And I talk to these guys, right? I'm going to talk to someone from Midas Touch, Adam Mockler, tomorrow. The reason why the reason why I think there's a productive conversation to be had there is because regardless of some of our policy disagreements, they ultimately want Republicans to lose. These guys don't operate like they want Republicans to lose. They don't give a shit whether Republicans win or lose. They only care about getting someone like myself deplatformed.
That we should respond to them as appropriate, call out their bad takes as appropriate. But the obsession is something I don't understand. The obsession is something I don't understand, and why, as opposed to someone like Piers Morgan, as opposed to like Joe Rogan.
If you don't understand the obsession at this point,
does Zoran actually really with you still or not? Does it seem negative towards you in that debate? Brother, I talk to Zoran Mamdani privately all the time. Not that it fucking matters at the end of the day.
you're probably just not
like his entire, I think you guys don't understand, like his entire team is people like you, okay? I work with his slate of candidates. Stop being parasocial. I can't believe that this is like a genuine, I can't believe that this is also like a genuine point of contention. This is what I mean.
And why, as opposed to someone like Piers Morgan, as opposed to like Joe Rogan.
If you don't understand the obsession at this point, you're probably just not qualified to have an opinion on anything going on here. I don't think you should talk.
That we should respond to them as appropriate.
It's crazy that he also like recognizes that it's an obsession. Destiny defending Hasan against Pisco's outrageous suggestion that Piers Morgan and Joe Rogan are much more appropriate objects of goon fixation, insists that failing to psychosexually obsess over Piker should in fact disqualify a person from having an opinion on anything. To which I responded with, not even hiding the pathological obsession now that the remaining cult members are the most diehard. I think that's what's going on here. What's going on here is that it's like a grudge. It's an obsession. And we're going to move on to Zoran Mamdani right now, by the way, who has the heavens mandate. But basically what I was saying is they think that the only way to cover politics is by just like hyper fixating on someone like myself. If I am irrelevant, then you shouldn't be talking about me that much. If I am relevant because I work within the confines of the Democratic Party, then you shouldn't be attacking me because ultimately we are supposed to be fighting the Republicans together. Problem is, you don't give a about fighting Republicans. You give a about fighting an agenda against me. The agenda that happens to be a pathological obsession that you have. Lucky for us, I think that more and more people in his community, more and more people in his orbit have started to realize that this isn't like real. What you're talking about is just like drama obsessed, clickbaity nonsense. Okay? Hasan Reaction is one of the best ones in the React channel.